gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms! And I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the channel on YouTube.com. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle, to mankind. This is the official Lightning Flash update for September 28th, 2019. Special Saturday upload. Yes, this should be a reoccurring thing, by the way. The Lightning Flash update is going to be on Saturdays from now on, considering that Smackdown and 205 Live apparently are moving to Friday nights. I'm going to discuss more on the 205 Live story once we get to the news, rumors, and reports section. It really feels like forever since I sat in this chair to do a Lightning Flash update, even though it's only been like 2 weeks. That just goes to show you how much college has had me tied up. And I'm actually going to say it right now. I actually prefer taxation homework rather than cost accounting homework. Just pointing that out there. But it's been a crazy month. It's been certainly a crazy month. We head into next week, which is perhaps the most important week in the world of wrestling since the days of the Attitude Era. I am telling you, it is huge. We have championships on the line. Television shows are debuting. We got all the major stars coming out in full force. We have 3 title matches set for Raw. We got 3 title matches set for NXT. We got 2 title matches. One title match actually set for All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite, and we got a WWE Championship match on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox with Brock Lesnar and Kofi Kingston, and then we got Hell in a Cell on October 6th, as well as WrestleMania 7, Giving It Back, in which I will be commentating on. A lot of shit going on, and a lot to go over this week in the world of WWE. Hopefully I will be able to also review AEW Dynamite. I will keep you guys posted on that. A little bit of a heads up. No rundown. That's right, no rundown for Hell in a Cell next week, because next week I will be guest starring on Chris from Loring's YouTube channel. It's your boy Chris. Me and him, we collaborated back in June for the 14th Special Edition Storm stream. This time, I'm venturing into his domain, where I am going to be interviewed by him, and we are going to talk about Hell in a Cell. It is going to be a fun week. Hopefully, I'll see if I can get a Lightning Flash update up for you guys next Saturday. I will keep you guys posted on that. I do have 2 quizzes and a huge exam for physics next week. Again, I'll keep you guys posted, keep you guys updated. You already know what to do. Follow me on Twitter, @ManOfCharisma. Follow me on Instagram, @TheDJStorms. You can subscribe to me if you haven't already done so. I haven't really been keeping up to date, which I apologize for. I will do my best. But other than that, why don't we get into the weekly show reviews? Enough stalling. Monday Night Raw. I'm going to be honest. I would say that this was a fairly decent show. It was very wrestling heavy, which I can appreciate. I will give them that. I can appreciate that it was very wrestling heavy. And I can appreciate the fact that they focused on a lot of things that they haven't really been focusing on. Not necessarily Hell in a Cell, but we did get some decent wrestling here and there. They're really building up next week's shows to be possibly bigger than Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell only has 3 matches. Meanwhile, you take a look at all the matches that we got going on next week during Premiere Week. We got Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. We got AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander for the U.S. title. I'm going to talk about that once we get deeper into the Raw review. Why don't we get into the Raw review? Seth Rollins kicked off the show. Says all he does is prevail and survive, and he will prevail and survive at Hell in a Cell against Bray Wyatt. Braun Strowman came out, and Seth Rollins was pretty much like, listen, if you're going to get in my face, then I have no problem challenging you tonight. Challenge was laid out. The match was made. It was pretty much a waste of 10 minutes. Really didn't do anything. Didn't do anything to excite me. Didn't really do anything to build towards Hell in a Cell, And Rollins and his fire has really died out. It's died out. It's run its course. And WWE really has no one to blame but themselves there. The first Universal title run of Seth Rollins was terrible outside of maybe 1 or 2 matches. And again, WWE has no one to blame but themselves for putting Seth Rollins out there in positions in which he was pretty much doomed to fail. Seth Rollins was doomed to fail with the booking that WWE gave him. There was no one that could realistically make that booking positive and make that booking resonate well with the WWE Universe. It's impossible. Bray Wyatt wins at Hell in a Cell. There is no question. The Viking Raiders versus the OC. This was actually a good tag team match. I was not expecting it to be this good. This went about 11 minutes. We had Luke Gallows. I believe he caught Ivar with a right roundhouse kick because AJ Styles distracted Ivar when pulling on his leg. The ref sent AJ to the back. Cedric Alexander came out. He attacked AJ Styles, and that brawl continued on to the back. And that match was made for next week. It's AJ and Cedric for the United States title on Raw's season premiere. We come back from commercial, and we actually have some back and forth offense between Rowe and Luke Gallows, I believe it was. Rowe was actually on the receiving end of a spinebuster by Carl Anderson for a close 2 count. They hit the boot of doom, but Rowe or Eric, whatever the hell you want to call him, kicked out. Eric kicked out, and then we had the tag made to Ivar. They hit the Viking Experience on, Carl Anderson, I believe it was. They hit the Viking Experience on Carl Anderson. Eric did a suicide dive to the outside, taking out Luke Gallows. Ivar pinned Carl Anderson, and the Viking Raiders get the win. Good tag team match, and, this is the matches, these are the matches that we need to see more of. And, how ironic is it that WWE all of a sudden now is pushing tag team wrestling? Because we got the All Elite Wrestling World Tag Team Tournament going on within the next 2 weeks. How funny is that? Now WWE all of a sudden wants to get behind tag team wrestling. And on top of that, they announced Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode defending their Raw tag team titles against Heavy Machinery on Raw's season premiere. Once again, now, all of a sudden, they're getting behind tag team wrestling. Watch that match go 15 minutes and watch WWE try to push that match as the most important tag team match in the WWE this year. Watch. How funny that WWE all of a sudden now is pushing tag team wrestling. Becky Lynch had an interview in the back with Michael Cole, basically stating that she wants Sasha's best, so that way there will be no excuses when Becky Lynch beats Sasha for good. Rusev defeated EC3. This was a 3 to 4 minute squash, and Rusev won to a ocean of WWE fans chanting, "We want Lana." What do you think's going to happen when Rusev comes back in a baby daddy storyline with Mike and Maria Kanellis? This guy did everything he could when he was away to get in the best possible shape of his career to come back and receive "We want Lana" chants, squashing EC3. You're telling me that you couldn't have put a Bo Dallas or a Curtis Axel in this position? Nobody cares about him. Nobody cares about Curtis Axel or Bo Dallas. Why EC3? Why is EC3 being subjected to squash matches? Why? Look at the matches that EC3 put on in NXT. The likes of Gargano and Cole and Velveteen Dream, but yet here he is getting squashed by Rusev. What did EC3 do to deserve this? I don't get it. On a more positive note, Rusev recently became a United States citizen. Congratulations to him. On a more positive note. Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross. Listen, this match wasn't bad. But it didn't help that San Francisco was dead for the first 11 minutes of this matchup. Seriously, are you at a cemetery or are you at a wrestling event? Make some noise. And on top of all that, the WWE now all of a sudden wants to push women's wrestling because AEW has the crowning of their first ever women's champion on the debut episode of AEW Dynamite. And on top of that, Kenny Omega's booking the women's division. So you know that Omega's going to look for the best possible women's wrestlers on the planet. And he is going to put forth women's wrestling like you've never seen it before. Now all of a sudden WWE wants to push women's wrestling. But they've forgotten that they have already ruined Nikki Cross from the moment that they paired her with Alexa Bliss. They have ruined Nikki Cross. No one gives a shit about Nikki Cross. She is carrying one of the women's tag team titles, which are the second most worthless championships in the WWE. I say second because the 24/7 title just edges that out by just a little bit. But you've ruined Nikki Cross by making her Alexa Bliss's bitch. You're having her hold one half of the women's tag team titles, which are more worthless than the shit that my dog took on my neighbor's lawn the other day. And you're putting her in a matchup with Sasha Banks in front of this dead crowd, and it does not resonate well. It doesn't resonate well. Decent match. Nikki Cross got her offense in. Sasha Banks got her offense in. Sasha Banks ended up winning as she should have, and then she took out Alexa Bliss too. Then we have Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks next week on the Raw season premiere. Decent match, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of things that did not resonate well. Dead crowd, the fact that Nikki Cross has been ruined, and the fact that all of a sudden, now you're starting to push women's wrestling because of All Elite Wrestling. It's not going to resonate well if you don't build up these women and present them in serious roles in which people will gravitate towards. Outside of Sasha Banks, the women's division, and Becky Lynch, outside of Sasha, Becky, and Bayley, the women's division is absolutely dead. It's dead. It's dead, it's ruined, it's lackluster, and WWE is no one to blame but themselves. Bayley and Charlotte had a 3.5-minute matchup at Clash of Champions, but yet you expect people to care about women's wrestling when you can't even push it on a fucking pay-per-view. Next week, Brock Lesnar is actually returning to Raw. We're going to see how that goes. Next week, we also got Miz TV with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Oh, by the way, Miz and his wife just welcomed their second child. Congrats to him. Now, Miz is actually living his best life right now. He has a $6 million home in Los Angeles with Maurice, of all people. 2 children with Maurice. Looks like $1 million fucking bucks in a suit. $6 million house. Well, I never thought I'd live to see the day where I would say, I want to be the Miz. Miz is living his best life right now. I just wanted to point that out there. Miz is really living the high life. Lacey Evans versus Ember Moon. This went 4 minutes. I do not understand what this company's obsession is with Lacey Evans, and I do not understand how you put Lacey Evans over one of the best in Ember Moon. Lacey Evans actually fell when trying to apply Natalya's sharpshooter. At this rate, if I was Ember Moon, I wouldn't even think about re-signing my contract. I don't know when her contract is up, but at this rate, if this keeps up, Ember Moon is as good as gone. She's as good, and what happened later on in the night, and what happened on SmackDown was even worse, I was told. I'm not reviewing SmackDown because I was at college. I was in intermediate accounting class at that time, so I did not watch SmackDown. I am not reviewing it, but I do have some thoughts on it. I do have some recent thoughts on it. I didn't take any notes, but I will explain my thoughts on it afterwards. Ember Moon, one of the best, jobbing out in 4 minutes to a uncoordinated, typical blonde Barbie doll named Lacey Evans. That's it. If I was Ember Moon, I would say that's it. Ember Moon, go to AEW, debut as Athena, and shove it to Vince. Shove it up Vince's ass. Tell Vince to suck it. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Firefly Funhouse. Bray actually split a Seth Rollins action figure in half because Huskus the Pig and Rambling Rabbit, they were arguing over a Seth Rollins action figure. Oh, Seth Rollins is my favorite. No, Seth Rollins is my favorite. Bray's like, sharing is caring. Split the action figure in half, handed it to each of them. Firefly Funhouse, man. I could watch 3 hours of Firefly Funhouse. I really could. I would rather sit through 3 hours of Firefly Funhouse than watch 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. And I'm pretty sure everyone else would. Truth and Carmella continue on with this 24/7 title chase. Carmella was like holding off these guys, and she was like, I can't do it anymore. Carmella rolled up Truth and won the 24/7 title, and then all the women who were sitting in catering now decided to chase after Carmella. So now, not only do we have the male jobbers, now we have the female jobbers as well. You're telling me you have nothing better for women like Dana Brooke, Sarah Logan, Ember Moon, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. You have nothing better for them to do other than to chase a worthless title that has no value whatsoever, not funny, it's not entertaining, it doesn't offer anything. And I'm telling you this right now, I don't care who the fuck you are. I do not care who the fuck you are. This is inexcusable. This is absolutely fucking inexcusable that this shit is continuing to happen. I am getting sick and tired of seeing the 24/7 championship constantly interrupt matches, constantly get put on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, and the crowd over here is just watching these athletes, some of the most talented athletes in the WWE. Think about this. Lindsay Dorado, EC3, Kalisto, Ember Moon, Asuka, Kairi Sane. Some of those individuals are former NXT champions and former champions on the main roster as well. Asuka, former Royal Rumble winner and SmackDown Live Women's Champion, was undefeated for nearly 950 days. Kalisto, former NXT Tag Team Champion, two-time United States Champion, former Cruiserweight Champion. EC3, look at the match that he put on in NXT. You have Ember Moon, former NXT Women's Champion, put on one of the best matches of 2017 with Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn 3, subjected to the 24/7 title. If you find this entertaining, if you find this funny in any way, shape, or form, you do not deserve to be anywhere near wrestling-related material. This is not what professional wrestling is all about. Professional wrestling is not a comedy show. Professional wrestling is not a play. Professional wrestling is not a fucking soap opera. Professional wrestling is a serious sport, and it should be treated as such. The 24/7 title needs to be abolished sooner rather than later. This title offers nothing when it comes to television. It's not drawing ratings. It's not putting asses in seats. All it's doing is drawing YouTube ratings online. And that's where it should stay. Keep it off of television. If you don't want to get rid of the title, even though it should be abolished, you don't want to get rid of it, put it on the internet, leave it on the internet, and leave the serious shit to television. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. If you find this entertaining, I have no respect for you. I have no respect for you. And you will get no respect from me. If you're going to come out and say something blatantly fucking stupid like the 24/7 title is entertaining, you're not going to get any respect from me. You're not. You could suck my balls. Chad Gable and King Korban. First off, if the King of the Ring winner is going to receive merely a crown, a robe, and a scepter, and not a world title match, then you might as well not even have the tournament at all. I am not a Baron Corbin fan based on this character that he's been portraying for the last year, but the fact that Corbin went through The Miz, Cedric Alexander, Ricochet, Samoa Joe, Chad Gable to win this tournament, and all he gets is a crown, a robe, a scepter, a shitty king gimmick, and not a world title match. But meanwhile, Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar are getting world title matches against Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston. And don't get me wrong, I love Bray Wyatt and I like Brock Lesnar. When they are put in these types of situations, they deliver. And I can't wait to see what they do with Rollins and Kofi respectfully. But in reality, they have done nothing. They have done absolutely fucking nothing to earn world title matches. It's way too soon for Bray Wyatt. And the last time Brock Lesnar competed was at SummerSlam, in which he lost to Seth Rollins in the main event, and he lost the Universal Championship. So, why am I going to care about Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt getting world title opportunities when they've done nothing? The fact that they're getting world title opportunities, but yet Baron Corbin, and don't get me wrong, I hate Baron Corbin's character, but the fact that he won this entire fucking tournament and he is not getting a world title opportunity, it is fucking criminal. It's criminal. It's a waste of time. I don't care. This entire tournament was a waste of fucking time. Great matches, yes, but the end result, complete fucking flop. A complete flop. If you are going to make this King of the Ring tournament a yearly thing, give the winner a world title match, whether it be for the WWE or the Universal Championship. Enough of this shitty king gimmick, enough of this king gimmick, enough with the crown, enough with the robe, enough with the scepter. Give the winner of the tournament a world title opportunity. The past few King of the Ring tournaments with the people that got the shitty king gimmick, it hasn't resonated well. Matter of fact, Wade Barrett actually lost his passion for professional wrestling due to the last King of the Ring tournament when he got this shitty king gimmick. Give the winner a world title opportunity and get rid of this fucking king shit. If you are not going to give the winner of this tournament a world title opportunity, you are better off not having the tournament at all. Other than that, this match was very good. I could watch these two fight all night. These two have great chemistry together. Korban was on the offense for the majority of the second half of this match. Clotheslines to Gable, chokeslams to Gable. Gable ended up powering back, hitting a German suplex. We had a huge moonsault to Korban, but Gable was able to kick. Gable only got a 2 count. Korban was in the ankle lock. He got the scepter and he started hitting Gable with the scepter. I actually didn't mind this ending via DQ because it presents the opportunity to do Gable and Korban again at Hell in a Cell. And this time, I would have Gable go over on Korban. I would definitely have Gable go over on Korban, and I would definitely have Gable become a staple on either Raw or SmackDown, whichever area they want to use him in. I would definitely have Gable on television more. What Gable is doing, especially with this King of the Ring tournament, and especially with what happened with these last 2 matches with Korban, Gable is showing everyone that he is the real fucking deal. This company needs to get behind Chad Gable. AOP attacked some superstars in the locker room. They are repackaging AOP, and they are presenting AOP in a dominant fashion, and I actually can't wait to see what AOP brings to the table. They do need tag teams. Funny, again, they're pushing tag team wrestling because AEW has this tournament going on. Funny, right? Fatal 5-Way elimination match. Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, AJ Styles, Robert Roode, and Shinsuke Nakamura. This was a great match. This was perfectly booked, and I loved what they did with this Fatal 5-Way. Rey Mysterio and Ricochet had a bit back and forth. I actually like that. I would love to see a match between them down the line. Ricochet was on a roll until Shinsuke Nakamura hit the Kinshasa, and Shinsuke Nakamura eliminated Ricochet. I actually didn't mind this. Because it presents a rather interesting opportunity. Nakamura and Ali are most likely going to face off probably on the debut episode of SmackDown on Fox for the IC title. Either that or they could do it at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Ricochet getting pinned by Nakamura, this definitely sets up the opportunity for Ricochet to ask for some retribution, and we could possibly see a Ricochet versus Nakamura match for the IC title down the line, in which I would fucking love. I would love that. I definitely wouldn't mind a Nakamura Ricochet IC title match. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a classic to me if given the proper amount of time. AJ Styles then eliminated Shinsuke Nakamura with the phenomenal forearm. Robert Roode immediately hit the glorious DDT on AJ Styles, and Robert Roode eliminated Styles. It came down to Roode and Mysterio. Mysterio was able to fire back. He hit the 619, the Frog Splash. Rey Mysterio wins a great Fatal 5-Way elimination match. Next week we get Rey and Rollins for the Universal title. And you know what? I'm completely okay with it. Rey Mysterio, he made the most sense to me. He was on this downward spiral. His son came back, inspired him, and now he's back in action. He beat Cesaro. He beat Grand Metalik. He won the Fatal 5-Way. Now he's facing off against Seth Rollins. I don't know about you guys, but I would say this is going to be a pretty damn good match. And then in the main event, Rollins and Strowman actually ended in a double no contest, or double count out, or double no count, whatever the hell you want to call it. No contest. It ended in a no contest after Rollins was hitting a few suicide dives on Strowman. Then Rollins caught a choke slam on the apron. Rollins in the ring on top of Strowman. Strowman had him in a power slam position. The lights started to go out. Braun Strowman's looking around like, where are you son of a bitch? Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, came out and put Braun Strowman in the mandible claw. And Bray Wyatt, I don't know if any of you noticed this, but Bray Wyatt's laugh as he was choking out Braun Strowman was fucking priceless. I loved it. Bray Wyatt was fucking laughing as he was putting the mandible claw on Strowman. And then Strowman actually tried to get up and go after the Fiend, and the Fiend put him in the mandible claw again as Seth Rollins was watching this. I fucking loved it. That was fantastic. That was a great ending. I can't get enough of the Fiend. I cannot get enough of the Fiend. I fucking love the Fiend. And I can only hope that the Fiend wins the Universal title. Decent Raw. It had some good moments. It had some good wrestling. But ultimately, if you wanted to skip it, you could have. If you want to go back and watch something, I would recommend going back to watch the Fatal 5-Way, because it was damn good. And maybe the Viking Raiders in the OC. I did not watch SmackDown, but I heard that Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Ember Moon were chasing the 24/7 title. Absolutely fucking pathetic there. I already did a rant on that. I don't need to go into any further details. Next week on SmackDown, we actually have Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon in a ladder match. If Owens wins, he is reinstated and Shane McMahon is fired. If Shane wins, then he stays and Owens is fired. So we have that going on. Next week, we also have Roman and Rowan, although who the fuck wants to see that again? Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns are actually facing off against Luke Harper and Eric Rowan at Hell in a Cell. It should be a decent tag team match, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually interested to see how that plays out. And we got Kofi and Lesnar next week as well. So a rather interesting week for WWE. Interested to see how NXT works out as well, because we got 3 championship matches, possible 4 championship matches. We're going to see how NXT plays out as well, because NXT has got a huge task ahead of them to try and topple AEW Dynamite, in which we have Cody and Sammy, we got Pac and Hangman, we got the 6-man tag, we got the women's title match. It's going to be fucking huge. It's going to be huge. But 205 Live. This was actually a very good episode of 205 Live. We had a lot of good wrestling on this. We had Humberto Carrillo taking on Angel Garza in the opening contest. This started out as a one-upsmanship battle. Both men were trying tit for tat, hold for hold, arm drag for arm drag, kip up for kip up. Angel Garza ended up getting the better of Carrillo with a moonsault to the outside. Angel Garza's moonsault, beautiful. Angel Garza has a great moonsault. Angel Garza is really going to be something special. Angel Garza has that Eddie Guerrero vibe, if you know what I mean. Humberto Carrillo ended up rallying. He took Garza to the outside, and he hit a Fosby flop. I think Humberto Carrillo may have one of the best Fosby flops I think I've ever seen. He does it so fluidly. He puts his feet together and maneuvers his feet in a 180-degree motion, and he lands it perfectly. I love Humberto Carrillo's Fosby flop. Back in the ring, Garza took over control, hit a springboard moonsault from the middle rope. Carrillo ended up gaining control, and he hit the Aztec press. Humberto Carrillo defeats his cousin Angel Garza in a very good match. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but Humberto, he hasn't been pinned in 6 months. He was not pinned at Clash of Champions. Lince Dorado was pinned. Based on everything that's going on here, I'm not sure, but it seems as though Triple H and whoever's running 205 Live is very high on Humberto Carrillo. Because I would have never expected a guy like Humberto Carrillo to get this much momentum and this much attention. If they want to, they could definitely push Humberto and Raul Mendoza in the tag team division in NXT, since NXT needs tag teams as well. But Humberto Carrillo continues his momentum. He's definitely going to be a champion one day. He's been booked very, very strong. Humberto Carrillo, I can see big things in the future for Humberto. The Brian Kendrick had an interview. He said that he opened the door for all of these individuals on 205 Live to come and join the WWE. Everyone is lacking in respect, and just when I thought that the one man who respected me, he's talking about Akira Tozawa, he has fallen victim to this plague, and that's why he hit Akira Tozawa. He says he's sick of the disrespect, and he's going to teach everyone a lesson in respect. Brian Kendrick is definitely better as a heel, just pointing that out there. I can't wait to see what goes on with Brian Kendrick and a possible undercard feud with Tozawa and Jack Gallagher. If they want to push Brian as a heel to get a Cruiserweight title match, I really wouldn't mind. He's good at what he does. He's very good at what he does. Main event, ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch, the Brit and Bruisers, taking on Tony Nese and the Cruiserweight champion Drew Gulak. This was a very good tag team match. We had a lot of good spots in this. Tony Nese, obviously he's had his ups and downs. Obviously Tony Nese, he hasn't really had a good post Cruiserweight championship run, but he can put on a damn good match. And so I respect that. Tony Nese hit a beautiful springboard moonsault to ONeil Orkin. ONeil Orkin was able to get the tag on Danny Burch. Danny Burch was rolling. We had Danny Burch hit the springboard drop kick out of the corner, out of the middle rope. Danny Burch was actually on the receiving end of a clothesline from Gulak, I believe it was. ONeil Orkin was on the outside. Clothesline from Gulak. Gulak was taken out momentarily. Tony Nese hit the 450, beautiful 450. Tony Nese was pulled out of the ring by Oni. Drew Gulak, he went to the outside and he actually caught an uppercut from ONeil Orkin as he was coming off the apron with the clothesline. I believe Tony Nese, he was on the receiving end of a headbutt from Danny Burch, and then Danny Burch summoned ONeil Orkin, like he was raising him up from the dead. They hit that uppercut doomsday device combination, but Tony Nese kicked out. Tony Nese was able to kick out. ONeil Orkin took out Drew Gulak. And then we had the elevated DDT on Tony Nese, and Danny Burch and ONeil Orkin get the win. Very good tag team match. If they want to use ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch on 205 Live more, I definitely wouldn't mind that, considering that NXT is actually taking over 205 Live. The NXT executives and management members are actually going to be taking over the booking duties of 205 Live. Interested to see how 205 Live plays out when it moves to Friday nights, and I will talk about that more later on. Should have brought 2 bottles of water. NXT UK. This was a pretty standard edition of NXT UK. Really nothing special. I feel as though that they're just coasting out of the Cardiff tapings, and then when we get to the next set of tapings, I feel as though they're really going to start picking it up. They're going to start utilizing their champions a bit more. We do have Tegan Nox and Kaylee Ray next week. Next week we also have Isla Dawn and Piper Niven. Interested to see how that plays out. Show actually started off with a match between Ligero and Oliver Carter. Ligero ended up winning this match with the C4L, that springboard DDT. I'm not sure where they're going with Oliver Carter because he's lost his past 2 matches. We're going to see. I think they're making Oliver Carter the underdog that never say die babyface in a way. So interested to see how that plays out. Tyler Bate came out to address the crowd. He was interrupted by Jordan Devlin. Devlin was going on, he was being sarcastic, he was saying, I'm the only man who can beat Walter. And then when Bate was actually going after Devlin, Devlin backed off. So a match between Bate and Devlin down the line, that is something I would definitely want to see, because Devlin is an absolute beast at what he does. Anything that Devlin touches turns to gold. So you know that we're going to get a classic with Bate and Devlin. Nia Samuels was able to defeat Dani Luna. I'm not sure where they're going with Nia Samuels. She already had her matchup against Toni Storm for the NXT UK Women's Championship, and she actually lost. So, I'm not sure where they're really going with her. I would assume that Piper Niven would be next in line to challenge for the NXT UK Women's Championship against Kaylee Ray down the line. I don't know when that is. But Kaylee Ray, sooner or later, is going to have to defend that title. Whether it's against Tegan Nox or Piper Niven or whoever. Trent Seven versus Noam Dar was turning into a decent match. It actually ended via disqualification. Noam Dar took the Mustache Mountain towel that Trent Seven had. He actually stuffed it in his pants. He stuffed it in his tights. He was going for the Nova Roller. Seven caught him with the lariat. He sees the towel sticking out of Noam Dar's pants, and he just starts beating the shit out of Noam Dar. The ref called for the bell, and Noam Dar gets the win via disqualification. So that was a nice heel tactic from Noam Dar. I can always appreciate the little sleazy heel tactics from Noam Dar. Noam Dar is great at what he does, but overall, very standard episode, nothing special, very basic. If you wanted to miss it, you could have. I'm actually hoping that they pick up, because they're kind of in a lazy period right now, NXT UK. I feel as though they need a new sense of motivation. Realistically, the only thing that's been worth going back and watching over these last few weeks on NXT UK was the tag team match between the Grizzled Young Veterans and Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster when they had their first title defense. That's about it. But NXT was actually a phenomenal show. This was actually better than last week's show. I swear to God, they're upping their game each and every single week. I can't wait to see what they do next week. The Undisputed Era actually kicked off the show with an overview of Full Sail. The Undisputed Era were standing on top of a platform that was behind the announce table holding all the gold. That was a great sight to see. That was a phenomenal sight to see there. We actually started off with a matchup between Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. This was a great match. This was a great match inside and out, and I swear to God, I don't even know how these two are still walking. I swear to God. Keith Lee, within 3 minutes of this match, he took a chokeslam on the apron. Chokeslam on the apron. We come back from break. Keith Lee does a beautiful slingshot corkscrew pescado. And then he throws Dijakovic back in the ring, and he does a picture-perfect middle rope moonsault. 350 pounds, 6'3", doing a moonsault. I don't know what the fuck Keith Lee is made of, but I swear to God, he is like the fucking Terminator. There's nothing that he can't do. Springboard moonsault from the middle rope, Dijakovic kicks out. Dijakovic was then up on the top rope once again. Dijakovic, he does a avalanche Canadian destroyer. Yes, you heard me correctly. An avalanche Canadian destroyer from the top. I don't have any words. I really do not have any words, and I do not have an answer for you guys as to how Keith Lee is not dead. If I was in that position, I swear to God, I would fear for my fucking life. You could not pay me all the fucking money in the world to take a move like that. I would rather tightrope walk across a volcano than take an avalanche Canadian destroyer. And I'm barely 1/3 of Keith Lee's weight. I swear to God, Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, they've got some fucking balls in order to do that spot. Absolutely fucking brutal. And on top of that, he kicked out. Keith Lee fucking kicked out. Dominik Dijakovic's like, what the fuck's going on? He goes up to the top, beautiful moonsault, and Keith Lee actually kicked out. But the way that he kicked out, he sat up and held Dominik Dijakovic in a world's strongest slam position. And Dijakovic's looking at Keith Lee like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck's this guy made of? Keith Lee has this look on him. He's looking at Dominik Dijakovic, and the look on his face is reading, no, you son of a bitch. You're not ending it. I'm ending it. And that's exactly what he did. He had that look like, it's not ending that way. It's not over until I say it's over. That's the look that Keith Lee had on his face when he was looking at Dijakovic. He rolled through, picked Dominik Dijakovic up, hit the Big Bang Catastrophe, the Supernova, planting Dominik Dijakovic to the mat. Keith Lee gets the win. And you know something? I was actually expecting Keith Lee to get the win. You know why? The series is tied 1-1. Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, there's only one way to end this. There's only one thing left to do. Keith Lee was going to win because now, NXT TakeOver War Games 3. You have Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic open the show. Dijakovic wins the series. That is how this ends. This series ends with Dominik Dijakovic winning. Dominik Dijakovic is next to challenge for the North American Championship, although I don't know when that is going to be, considering that Roderick Strong needs to have a lengthy reign with it, and he did just win the championship, so I don't know how they're going to go about that, but Dominik Dijakovic is definitely the next in line to challenge for the North American title. He could very well be the next North American champion. Who knows? Who knows? But great match. I expected Keith Lee to win. Now, we get the tiebreaker at TakeOver War Games 3. We have Shayna Baszler and Candice LeRae for the NXT Women's title next week. I cannot wait to see that. Dakota Kai defeated Tainara. That right there was a Vince McMahon initiative name change right there. He's like, oh, who the fuck has the last name Conchi? No, we're just going to call her Tainara. I can just picture him. But this wasn't about Tainara. This was about Dakota Kai, and she ended up winning with the GTK, the go-to kick. Dakota Kai gets the win, and Dakota Kai defeats Tainara. Great to see Dakota Kai back. I love Dakota Kai. I'm sure everyone loves Dakota Kai. She's like the new Bayley. Next week, we have the Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Team titles. I believe that should be the match to kick off the show if I was Triple H and I was booking next week's show. In the main event of the first hour, we had Matt Riddle versus Killian Dane in a street fight. This was a great fucking street fight. This was great. This was all over the place. It started out without weapons. It actually started out with Killian Dane and Matt Riddle going power move for power move. We had Matt Riddle doing the German suplexes. We had Matt Riddle doing the forearm strikes. Killian Dane with the power bombs and the elbows and the sentons. We then were taken into the crowd. And Matt Riddle was throwing Killian Dane into all of this production crew material. Killian Dane was throwing Matt Riddle into the production crates. Killian Dane did a crossbody to Matt Riddle through a wooden wall in the crowd. That was brutal in its own right. Matt Riddle, with all of the skin that Matt Riddle shows in his matches, I'm surprised he didn't get a few fucking splinters. We come back from break, and Matt Riddle does a fucking Broton. He was actually on the bleachers. Matt Riddle was on the bleachers. The crowd actually cleared out. Matt Riddle was on the bleachers. Killian Dane was on a table. And Matt Riddle ran across the bleachers and did a Broton to Killian Dane through the table. We are taken back into the ring, and Matt Riddle was on the receiving end of a trifecta of Vader bombs. But Killian Dane was not able to put Matt Riddle away. Matt Riddle took a kendo stick, and then he put a chair on top of Dane. Matt Riddle took the kendo stick and just whacked the shit out of the chair with Killian Dane underneath it. And then his hair actually got caught up in the kendo stick, and the kendo stick got caught up on the top rope, and then he just slowly took it out of his hair and then hit him again with the kendo stick. So that was fucking phenomenal. They could not have done that if they tried. That was pure luck right there. Then Matt Riddle locked Killian Dane in the Fujiwara armbar, and Killian Dane tapped out. Matt Riddle defeats Killian Dane in a great fucking street fight. We have Riddle and Cole next week for the NXT Championship. And Adam Cole actually came out to get in Matt Riddle's face. Matt Riddle brought Adam Cole down, put him in the Fujiwara armbar, and made him tap out. So I can't wait to see what Matt Riddle and Adam Cole do next week. Second hour, we have Kaden Carter, another Vince McMahon name change. Oh, her name's Lacey Lane. No. We already have a Lacey Evans. We're going to change her name to Kaden Carter. Again, yeah, Lacey Lane, Lacey Evans. Vince McMahon's like, we can't have two Lacey's. There's only one Lacey, and that is the sassy Southern Belle. You know what I mean. Rhea Ripley ended up defeating Kaden Carter, as she should have. Rhea Ripley is gaining some momentum, possibly looking to be the next NXT Women's Champion, whether that be against Shayna or Candice or whatever the hell they're going to do. ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch defeated Ever-Rise. This one only went about 5-6 minutes, and this was a basic tag team match. This was mainly done to get ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch on the winning track. Basically continue their momentum from 205 Live. So they flew Danny Burch and ONeil Orkin from San Francisco down to Orlando so they can compete in a tag team match against Ever-Rise and continue their winning ways. So ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch, they're getting back in the winning ways. ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch, they are making their way up in the ranking system, and they could very well be the next NXT Tag Team Champions. Do I think it's going to be Breezango? No, I don't think it's going to be Breezango. I think Breezango, they're going to hold off on Breezango until 2020. I think that ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch, they could very well be the next NXT Tag Team Champions, possibly by maybe WrestleMania weekend, if they want to do that. ONeil Orkin and Danny Burch versus the Undisputed Era, WrestleMania weekend at NXT TakeOver Tampa. We had Cameron Grimes and Raul Mendoza in a very good match. This was another showcase match for Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes came out of the gate, and he was on the offense for the beginning portions of this match. We had a Spanish fly by Cameron Grimes on Raul Mendoza. Cameron Grimes actually has a very good Spanish fly. Raul Mendoza started to gain some momentum. The springboard drop kicks, Hurricane Rana takedowns. Raul Mendoza and his momentum, however, was halted by the double stomp from Cameron Grimes. They are really portraying Cameron Grimes very well, and I think that Triple H has some big plans for Cameron Grimes. They are really adding a lot with his nitty-gritty Southern character and the aggressive nature that he possesses. His theme song works well with this character. And I can see big things for Cameron Grimes if he continues on the path that he's continuing on right now. I can definitely see big things for him. And then in the main event, we had Kishida and Breezango versus Imperium. Breezango was Kushida's mystery partners, and Alexander Wolf, Marcel Bartel, and Fabian Eichner were the members representing Imperium. You know what I like about Imperium? You know what I like about when Walter says Imperium? Because he says it with emphasis and an accent. He goes, Imperium. Yeah, that's what I like. I like the emphasis. I like the bass that he has. Like it's not Imperium, it's Imperium. You gotta put that accent on it. It sounds more badass that way. Imperium. I love it. But this is a very good 6-man tag match. I could definitely watch Breezango and Imperium fight. That would actually be a great tag team title match on a takeover if they want to do that. Bries Ango versus Bartel and Eichner. We had Kishida taking on Marcel Bartel and the rest of Imperium, actually. He was taking out both men with springboard kicks and springboard elbows. He was actually on the receiving end of a springboard into an uppercut. He was on the roll of doing a springboard back elbow to Bartel, but Bartel caught him with an uppercut right in the back of the neck that looked brutal. But Marcel Bartel was not able to keep Kishida down. Kishida rolled up Marcel Bartel for the win, and Kishida and Bries Ango win this match against Imperium. Kishida remains undefeated. Walter afterwards attacked Kishida, possibly setting up a match between Kishida and Walter. Sign me the fuck up. And if you're going to put the UK title on the line, sign me up even more. Sign me up even more, man. But very good episode, great episode of NXT. I can't wait to see what they do next week. Overall, again, NXT was the number one show in WWE this week. I cannot wait to see what they do next week. Next week's going to be a big week, so hopefully I will be able to get the content up for you guys that I want to get up. But other than that, that wraps up the weekly show part of the LFU this week. Anyway, moving on to the news, rumors, and reports. My first report comes from Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com. He noted that 205 Live is moving to Fridays at 10 p.m. on the network. He states, and I quote, "The word making the rounds backstage at the Smackdown taping in San Francisco is that 205 Live will be shifted to Fridays at 10 p.m. on the WWE Network as of next week, Friday, October 4th. So the plan is to still tape the series after SmackDown goes off the air." And Dave Meltzer actually discussed that this report is only temporary, as WWE is actually trying to figure out other alternatives for 205 Live, including canceling the show altogether. I'm actually happy that 205 Live is not getting canceled, but at the same point in time, WWE is not doing anything to help themselves as far as 205 Live goes. If you're not going to move it to Full Sail, and put it this way, I love that NXT is taking over 205 Live and the NXT management system is going to be booking 205 Live from now on, but you can't have 205 Live constantly go on after SmackDown. When it had that period where it was on Wednesdays, when it was taped, that was a lot better. When it was taped before SmackDown Live, that was a lot better because you had the crowd just filing in and everything was a lot more open. Everything was a lot more open and everything was a lot more energetic, if you know what I mean. Taping it before SmackDown Live would help a lot more than putting it after SmackDown Live because the crowd's already dead from 2 hours of SmackDown. Putting it on before SmackDown Live at 7 p.m. on the network when the crowd's filing in, that would actually be a lot better. It would give them more exposure. The crowd would be a lot more energetic. The crowd would care, and more people would actually watch. More people would actually watch at 7 p.m. versus at 10 p.m. after they just gone through 2 hours of wrestling and they have work the next day. It's much easier to watch a show at 7 p.m. at night than it is at 10 p.m. at night. Just pointing that out there. But I'm glad it's not getting canceled, but at the same point in time, I don't think WWE's helping themselves by putting 205 Live on the network after SmackDown. They really need to move it before SmackDown Live or move it down to Full Sail and have it there. If they want to, they could even merge it. If they want to cancel it and merge it, I really wouldn't mind it. But if you're going to keep it, then you got to at least make an effort. Make an effort to promote it so that way it can stay up. It can stay up and it can stay alive. People will still watch it. Come on. WWE's really got to do a better job at scheduling their programming on the network. They really do. Next report. It actually has to do with the commentary teams. WWE actually confirmed the new commentary teams for both Raw and SmackDown. Vic Joseph And Dio Madden will be on Raw, and they will be joined by Jerry Lawler. Meanwhile, over on SmackDown, we have Michael Cole and Corey Graves with Renee Young as special contributor. Although I don't really know what the fuck a special contributor is. Renee Young already has a show on FS1, and I'm going to talk about that a little later, because I actually have news on AEW possibly doing a show, like the FS1 show with Renee Young. Renee Young's doing a studio show for SmackDown Live. I don't understand why you still have the 3-man commentary booths. 2-man commentary booth is the best. There's a lot more chemistry there. The only 3-person commentary booth that I am okay with is NXT. Beth Phoenix is a breath of fresh air. Mauro Ranallo, what can I say about Mauro Ranallo? He is the best commentator of our generation. Nigel McGuinness is fucking hilarious at what he does. So, why am I not going to support Nigel McGuinness? He's fucking hilarious. That is the only 3-person commentary booth that I am okay with. Renee Young is fucking terrible. I really don't care. She is better off in an interview role. She is miserable when it comes to commentary. I don't care if you're a fan of her. I don't care if you love her. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. I don't care if you're a relative, if you're a friend. She sucks. She sucks at commentary. That is the painful truth. She should be nowhere near a commentary booth. Anyone can add a typical ooh or a typical ah or a typical oh when it comes to commentary. Seriously. She offers no value. Corey Graves, I can't stand Corey Graves because he's a fucking idiot when it comes to social media, but even Corey Graves is more bearable than Renee Young. At least when Vince McMahon is not in his ear telling him exactly what to say word for word. Jerry Lawler, I don't mind Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler is entertaining to me, but at the same point in time, we don't really need Jerry Lawler. I'd be okay with Vic Joseph and Dio Madden, but we're going to see how Vic Joseph, Dio Madden, and Jerry Lawler merge together. I think that they should merge together quite fine, but over on SmackDown, Michael Cole and Corey Graves as a 2-man commentary booth, that would be fine. We don't need Renee Young. Beth Phoenix trumps Renee Young by miles when it comes to commentary. Beth Phoenix has a lot more energy. Beth Phoenix adds a lot more. Beth Phoenix actually knows how to do her role correctly. Renee Young is not good when it comes to commentary. I really don't care. I don't care what you think. The fact of the matter is that she sucks. She sucks when it comes to commentary. She is an interviewer. That is the role in which she excels at. The WWE needs to push her in that role so that way it will come off a lot better on television. And that's all I got to say about that. But we're going to see how that plays out. I'm very much looking forward to WWE Premiere Week. I really am. Speaking of the FS1 show with Renee Young, The Wrap is actually reporting Brett Waits, the general manager of TNT, TBS, and True TV, said that his company and All Elite Wrestling are, quote-unquote, talking about doing a studio show together. It is speculated that this studio show would be to counteract the FS1 studio show hosted by Renee Young. Brett Waits said, and I quote, "We are talking about a possible studio show as a companion series for Dynamite. I don't know if you've met Tony Khan, but he's not short of ideas or passion. So there is a world where we're thinking about where does something like that live? Knowing fully well that within the Warner Media ecosystem, we have Bleacher Report Live. We've got all these different components at our disposal. The more content for these fans, the better. And we would love to figure out what something like that looks like." End quote. Now, as far as a studio show goes for All Elite Wrestling, I really wouldn't mind it. I really would not mind it at all. I think that a studio show would definitely offer a new window to the world of AEW It would definitely give a lot more people opportunities to go out there, cut promos, be themselves, get themselves over, because there are no scripted promos in All Elite Wrestling. It's going to be strictly on the individuals. So this studio show is definitely a huge opportunity for certain individuals to go out there and cut promos, sell themselves, hype themselves up, promote their brands, and get themselves over, so that way when they are featured on AEW television, they are going to be looked at as stars in the eyes of the crowd. However, I don't want this show to just be a show to counteract the FS1 show with Renee Young. You have to remember here that WWE started this war. WWE started this war. I don't want AEW to get too caught up in it. I don't want AEW to get too caught up in it, because if they do, then they could very well end up doing something that is going to end up hurting them in the long run rather than helping them in the long run. WWE started this war at the Hall of Fame ceremony with Triple H saying, we're going to buy that pissant company and we're going to fire Billy Gunn again. That was Triple H. WWE started this war. So, All Elite Wrestling, they've been counteracting it. But at the same point in time, you don't want to get too caught up in it. I know that competition is healthy and competition's great, but I don't want this show just to be a show to counteract the FS1 show with Renee Young. And I don't want to see a direct representation of what Renee Young is doing on the studio show with All Elite Wrestling. I don't want to see that. I want to see superstars get opportunities to put themselves out there, get themselves over, promote their brand, and really tell the crowd and tell everyone that watches this studio show for All Elite Wrestling. I want those stars to tell them what they are all about. I want those stars to go out there, and I want them to be genuine. I want them to be real. I want a sense of seriousness, and I want a sense of realism in these types of shows, because that's what these shows are meant to offer. A sense of realism. A sense of real analytics. A sense of what these stars are really like. A window into the unknown, so to speak. These types of studio shows are great because they could really show the crowd what these individuals are all about. Because if you're going to have the wrestling on the main shows, then on the studio shows you can have a lot of promo work. You can have a lot of promo work there where all these stars can sell themselves. That is the main purpose of studio shows like this. But I don't want to see a direct representation of what Renee Young is going to be doing on FS1. I don't want to see that. We don't need that. But other than that, I wouldn't mind it. I say go for it. My final report of the day actually came a little bit earlier this week. PW Insider reported that WWE signed John Morrison. Yes, John Morrison. Johnny Mundo. Johnny Impact. Whatever the hell you want to call him. He's had 5,000 different names already ever since he left WWE. I don't even know what to call him anymore. Johnny Nitro. He's Johnny everything at this rate. You could just he was pretty much Johnny Gargano before Johnny Gargano was Johnny Gargano. Because like now Johnny Gargano has all of these nicknames. You call Johnny the crowd calls Johnny Gargano Johnny Champion, Johnny Jackass, Johnny Failure, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Knee Brace, Johnny everything. Now John Morrison, he's the originator of that. But John Morrison is signed to a WWE deal. However, there have been no specifics revealed as to where he's going to end up. If I was John Morrison, NXT is my best bet. NXT is definitely my best bet because I just simply don't trust WWE. I really simply don't trust WWE to book John Morrison in a serious role, and a role in which we can really get behind him. More likely than not, WWE would probably put him on television and give him the sanity treatment. Only utilize him 11 times throughout the course of the entire year, and then put him in the pile of jobbers chasing the 24/7 title. At that rate, WWE only signed John Morrison so he doesn't go to All Elite Wrestling and raise some hell over there. NXT is the best bet for John Morrison. Based on what happened in the last WWE run, WWE has given us no reason to trust him. Look at what they did in his last run. John Morrison was World Championship material. But yet you had him in a worthless six-man tag match at WrestleMania 27, teaming alongside Trish Stratus and Snooki. Yes, Snooki. You had John Morrison, one of the best in the company at that time, teaming up with Snooki. I don't know about you guys, but I really don't want to see Snooki in a wrestling ring teaming with one of the best in the company that should realistically be at the forefront of the world title scene, but yet you still have John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania at that time. But yet John Morrison, he can't even get anything past an Intercontinental Championship reign. Pathetic. It's pathetic, people. It really is pathetic. It really is. They're going to have to play their cards right. If I was Triple H, I would want my hands on John Morrison immediately. You put John Morrison in NXT, you have a lot of opportunities for John Morrison. Now, if they want to put him on the main roster, then my best bet as we speak right now, because I don't see John Morrison factoring into any main event championship matches in the future, my best bet would be to put him with The Miz. Turn The Miz heel, bring back Miz and Morrison. Great flashback right there. WWE needs tag teams. That's a great throwback tag team. For the time being, Miz and Morrison would work great in the tag team division. And then when you want to, you can break Morrison and Miz up, and you can have Morrison go forth, and he can be a singles champion on another brand. You can have Morrison on SmackDown Live. Imagine Morrison on SmackDown Live with the likes of Finn Balor, Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a damn good idea. A damn good layout, a damn good plan for John Morrison. If he is to go up on the main roster, put him with The Miz. They need tag teams. Turn Miz heel. Let's have Miz and Morrison back together. Otherwise, put him in NXT. Put him in NXT. You could possibly have Morrison versus, I don't know, fucking Adam Cole down the line. That would be a classic in its own right. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. Follow me on Twitter at Man of Charisma. Follow me on Instagram at VDJStorms. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do all of that. Hit that subscribe button as well. And hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. October 6th. 2019 at Felician University, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. WrestleMania 7 Giving It Back is taking place on that day. I will be commentating. Come on down. The tickets are only $20. $25 for the front row as well. Go and follow the WrestleMania Facebook page at WrestleMania Wrestling on Facebook. Like it. You can get the tickets there. It's only $20, $25 for the front row. It is going to be a huge event. You are not going to want to miss it. Come on down. You can meet me. You can meet all the wrestlers down there at WrestleMania. And you might as well get a picture with me and a possible wristband down the line. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm DJ Storm. This has been the Lightning Flash Update. I will see you next week when me and Chris race some hell on a preview and prediction show for Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. You have a great weekend.